one more for the last 2 years. Now, remember, I was a roader for 30 years. Once
Yabaseo, all my beautiful people. I hope you can hear me. My computer is being very slow. We are watching Susan Smith and Laken Riley. Y'all feel free to hop into the chat. I'm not really sure why the picture is not showing. But as you can see or hear, they are talking.
No, ma'am. Nothing.
To try to free Susan Smith.
I really would ask the board
He is up for parole
consider Susan's
today.
request
Also,
for,
Laken Riley's trial is
parole.
going
I do
on.
believe that if we look at insight into,
I'm not really sure why this is not popping up, as you can tell. We're having issues, technical difficulties, because she for parole, shocker, after 30 years.
Today. If you all will please exit the room,
we are going to hear from the family,
later
which
today.
is
Thank you for joining us.
what I want to hear from.
thank you.
One moment as the room clears.
So now we're going to hear from the family, which is what I've been waiting for. Also, we're going to go back to Laken Riley, who I want everyone to remember. We need to say her name. I know I have not done a live in a while. I have not been feeling well. So if you're on here, say hello. Please like, subscribe, and share. While we are waiting for hearing from the family, I know they're already speaking. I'm a little behind. My apologies. I had to have a virtual doc appointment, so I had to get through that before I could get on here. Laken Riley trial lasted 3 days, and the Jose Ibarra has been found guilty in all counts, and he will be sentenced or is being sentenced right now, or we're hearing the victim impact statements. We're going to go back through that as well. So sorry we haven't done a live in a while. I wanted to do that trial live, but work. So unfortunately we didn't get to do that. I hope people will pop in, say hello in the chat. Welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee. So please join.
Before we begin, I do need each of you to please state your name for the record and your interest. Name for the record and your interest in this case. Sir, can we begin with you, please?
Stand up.
You don't have to stand up. You do whatever's comfortable for you.
I'm David Smith. I'm the father of Michael and Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Again, some technical difficulties, but we can hear it.
Rebecca Smith French. I'm the aunt of Michael and Alex.
I'm Savannah Smith, and I am David's daughter, Michael and Alex's sister.
I am on a different computer today, so
I'm Tommy Vogt. I was the solicitor in the original trial.
this is where the family is going to object to her speaking, or her parole. This is Susan Smith's parole. We are waiting. We are going to go back to Laken Riley as well. I hope everyone does not forget Laken Riley.
Kathy Bailey, personal friend.
Jeff Bailey, Sheriff, Union County.
Scott Cooper, Sheriff's Office, Union County.
Michael Cox.
Okay, I'm having some weird issues with the computer today. It's being very slow and picky. Not really sure why, but are here.
And if anyone would like to make a statement.
Maybe a lot of people are watching this today. It's very, very important. So far, the South Carolina Parole Board has denied everyone who has been up for parole. So
Conclude at the end, please.
they will deny
I'll speak first.
Susan
please,
Smith.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So I'm Tommy Pope. I was the 16th Circuit Solicitor, and this was a death penalty case. And the reason it was a death penalty case, you know, the solicitor has that discretion, but the reason it's a death penalty case, you know the facts and circumstances, and I just felt strongly that had the black man with the toboggan committed the crime, people would expect a death penalty. If David Smith had committed the crime, people would expected the death crime, people would expected the death penalty. And I thought it was very important that the betrayal that Susan Smith showed, that she be treated the same. We knew it was going to be difficult. We knew there was a likelihood of not achieving the death penalty. But I think it's important to note the jury at the time actually asked, what did life mean? And if you may be aware, but in that time, life did not mean life. Life became life in 96. We tried the case in 95. So the jury was asked, and the judge was required to instruct the jury that you take life and death in its plain and usual meaning. Carrying that forward, the jury showed her mercy. The jury gave her a life sentence. But one of the jurors, or more of the jurors, after the fact, and speaking to the media, said that they believed the life sentence was the greater punishment because they believed that Susan should have to reflect on what she did to Michael and Alex, that she should have to spend the rest of her life thinking about what she'd done. The two fallacies in that logic that the jury could not have known are, number one, obviously we're here today, so life did not mean life.
I'm very
Number
sorry,
two,
y'all.
and you have it before you, Susan's conduct from the day she rolled the kids in the lake, the defense claimed a botched suicide, but she was able to save herself. She was able to blame a black guy. She wasn't wet. She wasn't injured when she runs to the house and concocts his story. Susan has always focused on Susan. I will believe to the end of my time that Susan made a horrible, horrible choice to choose a man over her family.
We can hear it, y'all. Can't see it.
Focus on herself. And so on behalf of justice and the justice for this case, it's not about her behavior or what she would do with getting out, but I know one of your criteria is the nature of the crime and whether the punishment is there. And I would submit for the crime she committed, the action she committed, that punishment has not been achieved yet. And so I would ask you to deny parole. Now, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Solicitor. I appreciate it.
I'm behind on everything because I've been working and I had a
Yes.
seizure the other day, so I'm not
Madam
100%.
Chairman,
And I do not
lady,
know what's
and
going
members
on
of
with
the
this
board, thank you.
computer, but it is failing me
Chair
today.
and members of the board, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. I was on the
Oh, it's
prosecution
completely
team
failing me
that
because my
handled the
background just quit.
prosecution along with Solicitor Pope, Speaker Pope now, who you just heard from. I wanted to bring to you a couple of vignettes from the case to help bring this alive for you. In the course of preparing for today, I've gone back over the case. I've reviewed the file. I pulled some of the evidence out, which is in a closet just off my office. Evidence like the note that was written to Susan Smith by her boyfriend, the man she was cheating on her husband with, who told her in the note that he could not be with her anymore because he didn't want children, and that they had no long-term future because he didn't want children. And then 1 week later, she's rolling her car down the ramp at John D. Long Lake with her 2 children strapped into the back. She betrayed her husband when she cheated on him, and she betrayed her children against the laws of nature when she should have been sworn to protect those children. She betrayed them when she left them in the seat and rolled that car down, and she was not trying to commit suicide. She was trying to change her life. She wanted to kill her old life and start anew. She was wearing a sweatshirt that the man who she was cheating with had given to her when she was on TV 2 hours later after claiming that a black man in a toboggan carjacked her and spirited her 2 children away. How many black men in red Mazdas got pulled over across the country because they were looking for those 2 kids and they were looking for this fictitious man that didn't exist, purely a figment of her imagination? I was on the banks of John D. Long Lake, standing there with about 40 or 45 people, 50 people, as the tow truck from Greer's Wrecker launched its line
I don't
into
know
the
about
water,
the Chloe
where
driver.
divers hooked it up to the
Is that
car
the,
and pulled it
I
out.
don't know about that one. If I do,
Total
I've
silence
forgotten.
as that car emerged from the dark water. Everybody sitting there hoping and I can't begin to describe. And it was heart-wrenching as he described that his hopes and dreams
Oh,
for
yeah,
the future were destroyed that night when she killed their 2 children.
I know what you're talking about now.
This didn't just traumatize him. It traumatized Union. It traumatized South Carolina. The entire country was in the grips of her lie and her treachery. The entire country. This was a global sensation. People were fixated on this. They're not the only victims. And on behalf of the community that I represent now, I don't believe she should ever be released from jail until the last person alive who remembers Michael and Alex is dead. And that will not be in her lifetime.
Will not.
She should never be released. She should not really be released now.
Thank you,
His
Joanna.
hopes and dreams were dashed. I hope you
My
dash
brain is
hers
still
today
fatigued.
and every 2 years hereafter.
Thank you so much.
I haven't been able to make a video in forever. Oh my gosh, what is up with my computer? It just keeps like freaking out on me. And of course, I'm on my laptop. I'm not on my MacBook or my Mac computer because I'm like trying to just chill out. But I wanted to cover this stuff.
When Susan murdered Michael and Alex, she altered the course of my life and my family's life forever. Having grown up with 3 older brothers, Susan was like the sister I never had. I was a teenage mom of just 16, so I looked up to her and even admired her. I thought she was the best mother to the boys, and I strived to be just like her. I would even leave my own daughter with her while I attended night school.
I cannot believe she's been in prison for 30 years and still doesn't even have her associate's degree.
Around in August because I know Michael's won't be far behind in October. And then the anniversary of their death on the 25th. Because in my mind, it always referred to this period of time as the sad months. Throughout my career, the majority of any time missed at work is around Michael and Alex's birthdays and the anniversary of their death. I stay in bed and sleep to deal with the depression. It's just easier this way it seems to be. Something as simple as taking up a new hobby turned into a nightmare for me last year. My boyfriend and I decided to take scuba diving lessons. I geared up with all the equipment, face mask on, oxygen tank on my back, stepped off the side of the pool into 15 feet of water and immediately sank to the bottom from all the weight I was carrying. Normally you'd remember to breathe and begin to ascend as I had studied for all the weeks leading up to that point, but nothing prepared me for dropping into a body of water and the feeling of being weighted down, unable to breathe, and seeing Michael and Alex's face. I immediately panicked, ripping off my face mask, sucking in water, and not being able to come to the surface from all the weight I was carrying. I was drowning, and I knew in that moment that was the closest I'd ever come to knowing what my nephews had endured and how horrific and scared their last moments had to have been.
Oh my gosh.
Something as simple as taking up a new hobby was yet one more thing Susan was taken from me. In over 25 years, I have found myself finding comfort going to the cemetery where the boys are buried beside our older brother. I go there often and I will tidy up their graves where people have left trinkets or gifts and I talk to them. I go there when I'm happy. I go there when I'm upset. Rainy days, sunny days, cold days and hot days, it doesn't matter. It brings me peace just being there. But as a result, I'm not able to bring myself to move away from Union County because now I don't want to leave them. We have missed Michael and Alex's kindergarten graduations, numerous birthdays, birthday parties, summer vacations, Easters, along with annual Easter hunt, egg hunts at Meemaw's, Thanksgivings, Christmases, football, soccer, baseball games, proms, high school graduations, possible marriages, and births of their own children. We don't know because they never had a chance. They never had a chance to live a life of their own. Susan took that from them. She took that from us all. And now she wants a chance to be free after only serving 30 years. No. Life should mean life. So I'm respectfully asking you to please deny her request for parole. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I apologize, I get a little bit emotional. I drove down from Detroit on Monday night, which was Halloween before of that week. And a young man, middle-aged man then, I'm an old man now, but the boys never got to. As he said, they missed a lot. They missed their life. Today they would be in their 30s. They would probably be a granddad. The boys were still here. I took my sister out to the lake yesterday, and it's a beautiful drive out there. I was just thinking, all that time she had time to change her mind, to stop and turn around and not go through with it, but she did. And then the boys were gone. A year later, I came back down for the trial. Tommy Polk did a good job that proved that she was guilty. During the sentence trial, they came back and recommended life. Tommy had argued for the death penalty. The family was for death penalty. They come back and recommend life. But we said, well, we'll live with it. She'll have to live with it for every day for the rest of her life. So we were satisfied with life, but we do not want a parole. We were against any parole for her. Then two other items going back 30 years. The Friday morning after apologize. But the Friday morning after David, his dad, my brother's wife, and I, the four of us, were sitting at Holcomb Funeral Home in Union and discussing the funeral arrangements. David asked to see the boys, and Mr. Holcomb had a funny on his face, and he said, "Mr. Smith, could I see you?" So we went out, and he said, your nephew can't see the boys. And he told me about it. He said, the boys were in the water for 9 days. So I
9 days.
went back and told David, I said, you don't see the boys. And I think deep down he understood why.
The parole board is crying.
The next day, Saturday, three
They
of
are
us
crying.
The next day, Saturday, three of us, David, his dad, and I, went out to the Bougainville United Methodist Church Cemetery and to look where the boys are going to be buried. And David's brother, Danny, who had died 3 years earlier, was buried there.
Oh my gosh.
David wanted his boys buried next to his brother, their uncle. But the way the cemetery is laid out, there was no room for the boys to be put next to Danny. So I found the cemetery custodian and asked him if it were possible to move Danny. And he said, well, yes, if that's what the family wants, we can move Danny. So I went back and saw my brother. Said, David wants the boys to be next to their uncle. Would you have a problem if we moved Danny? And he said, well, so if you go out to the cemetery, you'll find that Danny and the boys are side by side.
Does anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, I'll do this.
Yes, ma'am.
So as David's wife, I have stood by him for the last 30 years and watched his pain, his suffering, his dark days.
Oh my goodness gracious alive.
Red Mazda in California or Colorado.
I'm sorry. Serious technical difficulties.
Herself. It's all about what she can do to make her life better.
Well, you can hear it.
Michael and Alex didn't get a chance at life. They were forced the death penalty.
Sort
She
of.
took that from them.
Okay, maybe we can't. I don't know.
The life
Computer
of this
hates me.
family has been forever changed. It caused us to be a little overprotective of our now daughter. A little bit more than we probably should have been. Because we were afraid something might happen to her. So to help give this family some peace, it would be best if Susan stayed behind bars and stay in prison for the rest of her life. I respectfully ask you to keep her in. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak for Mr. Smith? Chair, anyone?
Excuse me. Most of what I have to say is going to be pretty redundant. But primarily, I would just like to focus on, since I came after the fact, what I had stolen from me was 2 older brothers, the good and the bad of having older
I wonder if
siblings.
Susan Smith is hearing all of this.
And I now try to use my life as a way to live for them. And growing up, I didn't quite understand it my whole life, but when I finally did, I felt like I had witnessed it, like I was there. The pain that not only was caused to me in like a domino effect, but what I have seen firsthand with my father, my aunt, and our whole hometown. We can no longer say that we're from Union County without Susan's actions being brought up.
Oh my word.
And just for the sake of all of us and our whole community, I ask that you deny her request.
Nobody's going to want to join with this technical difficulties that we're having.
Madam Chairman, members of the committee. It's been a tough 30 years.
I don't know how he's managed it.
I'm not here to speak about what she's done in prison. You all have the records and accounts of all that. I'm just here to advocate on Michael and Alex's behalf and as their father. You know, God gives us free choice. And she made free choice that night to end her life. This wasn't a tragic mistake. It wasn't something that she didn't mean to do. She purposely meant to end her life. I never have felt any remorse from her for it. She never expressed any to me. I never seen it on paper. You've heard, she changed my life for the rest of my life that night. Some for the better, some for the worse, but what she did, not only to Michael and Alex, she came pretty close to causing me to end my life because of the grief that she brought upon me. But thankfully she didn't. I understand back in 95 that through the state's law, life in prison meant 30 years to life. And now that's different, but at that time, that's what counts. I understand that. But ultimately, to me, that's only 15 years per child, her own children. It's just not enough. So I'm asking that you please do not hurt Parole today. And hopefully in the future, but specifically today. Not let her out. I miss them very much. And I love them very much. And I will be here every 2 years going forward to ensure that
2 years?
their death doesn't go in vain. Thank you.
Every 2 years?
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. Again, please know how very, very sorry this board is to all of you for all the pain that this crime caused you. But we sincerely appreciate you all being here with us today. Thank you very much. And thank you for the reminder with the picture of Alex and Michael. They were beautiful children. So thank you for reminding us of that today. We wish you the very best. And if no one else has anything else that they would like to say, if you all will exit with these ladies over here, I'll have an answer for you shortly. Thank you so much for being here.
Every 2 years? Okay, so thank the good Lord she was denied parole.
This year is showing on all of our.
So now we're going to try to go to Laken Riley, who I feel like, is very concerning to me that during the election, people were so super concerned about women's rights and women being, their bodies, this, that, and the other, but nobody cared or nobody mentioned Laken Riley. Nobody mentioned Jocelyn from Houston. Nobody mentioned any of those girls that were hurt or murdered, actually, by people that come across the border illegally. They're much more concerned about, people being able to kill their babies. So I find that to be much more disturbing than anything. So I guess I'm going to have to do a recap video instead of live because
my precious daughter was attacked, beaten, and shown no mercy. She fought for her life and dignity and to save herself from being brutally raped. This sick, twisted, and evil
it's so weird
coward showed no regard for Laken or human life. We are asking that same be done to him.
Ooh.
Laken had a beautiful and bright future. She was smart, hard. An amazing sister, niece, daughter, and granddaughter. Anyone who knew her knew about her loving heart. Laken's life was not the only life taken on that day that Jose Ibarra attacked her. The life of her family and friends was taken too. None of us will ever be the same. This monster took away our chances to see Laken graduate from nursing school. He took away our ability to meet our future son-in-law. He destroyed our chances of meeting our
I'm so sorry. I do not know what is going
destroyed our
on.
chances of meeting our grandchildren. And he took my best friend. He ripped away every beautiful memory we will ever be able to make with her again. This horrific individual robbed us all of our hopes and dreams for Laken. Your Honor, I'm asking you to please give Jose Ibarra the same thing he gave us when he made the choice to take Laken's life and destroy ours. He showed no mercy on Laken when she was begging for her life. There's no end to the pain and suffering that he inflicted on our family.
I'd like to thank Your Honor for the opportunity to speak today. I truly appreciate it. I heard in the opening statements from the defense that the loss of a life that was apparently full of promise is tragic. I'm here today to let Your Honor and the entire world know that Laken's life was not apparently full of promise, but instead was abundantly and exceptionally full of promise, and was a shining beacon in the life of everyone that knew her, that ever came in contact with her. I'm so proud of Laken and the beautiful person she was. And while I could stand here and try to tell the world the things that made her such a wonderful person, as well as the many things we have all been robbed and deprived of, I think one of her last journal entries dated 12/17/23 says it best. So here we go. To my future husband. As silly as I feel writing this, my old small group leader once recommended it, so here I am. To my future husband, I want you to know that I'm thinking about you. I'm working every day to become the best wife I can be. I'm working through my current relationships to best prepare me for ours and our kids one day. I'm focusing on God and what He defines as a faithful Christian life, and so that I can best embody those characteristics. I pray that you know that it is with my full faith and trust in God that I know this relationship has been handcrafted by Him. I pray that we continue to glorify the Lord, prioritize Him in every aspect of our lives, and raise our family, our future family, to be God-fearing Christians as well. I pray God is the center of our relationship as it is a gift from Him. I thank Him for you before I even know you. And can't wait to love you in the best way I know how for the rest of our lives. I pray you know and feel the importance of my love and hope for our relationship. No matter what challenges we face, I pray that our trust in God and love for one another overrules the obstacle. May our relationship last forever. Your future wife, Laken. That, Your Honor, was our beautiful Laken. That, Your Honor, is just a glimpse of what was tragically and brutally taken from her and us that day. The best daughter, sister, granddaughter, friend, and overall person that you could ever hope to meet. While it's true that none of our lives will ever be the same, we refuse to let this person rob Laken of the hope she gave to her family, loved ones, friends, and the world as a whole. We will proudly carry this hope on in her name in the days ahead and for the rest of our lives, because together we can all keep hope alive. So today, I plead with this court to protect the world from this truly evil person by sentencing him to prison for life without the possibility of parole for any reason, so that he can never have the opportunity to do this to anyone else ever again. Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, Your Honor, is Lauren Phillips.
Your Honor, I wish I could truly put into words how much the tragedy that occurred on February 22nd, 2024 has affected me, but I don't think I'll ever be able to do so. With that being said, I'm going to attempt with the best of my ability to do that for you today. My name is Lauren Phillips, and I had the amazing privilege of living with Laken Riley as my older sister. Laken was and will forever be my most favorite person. She was my biggest role model, and I looked up to her in every way. She brought the joy that I needed into my life and never failed to make me laugh. There was absolutely nothing that I wouldn't do for Laken, and nothing that she wouldn't do for me. Laken was my biggest protector, and I always had this sense of comfort and safety in her presence. We've been inseparable ever since the moment I was born, and I've been lost ever since she was senselessly stripped from our lives by Jose Antonio Ibarra. I now have this hole in my heart and in my life that I know will never be filled. I had to walk the stage of my high school graduation without my biggest supporter and cheerleader in the crowd. I had to finish my senior year of high school, which most would say is the happiest and most surreal part of your life. It was simply the opposite for me. I had to turn 18 and become an adult without the one person I looked up to there by my side. I had to get accepted into my dream school, the University of Georgia, without my sister telling me how proud of me she is and finally getting to live in the same town together again. I now have the burden of dealing with the fact that my best friend and sister will never come home again. She'll never send me another daily good morning text, funny TikTok, or silly Snapchat. The true sense of joy I felt when she would randomly surprise me will never happen again. I will never get to hear her infectious laugh or see her light of a smile ever again. I now get to explain to people when they ask me if I have a sibling that I no longer have one, and not just because she passed away, but because she got brutally attacked and murdered. I cannot walk around my own college campus because I am terrified of people like Jose Ibarra. My parents will never be the same after losing their daughter in this tragic way. Seeing their heartbreak is excruciating. We were once a happy family of 4, and now there is an evident hole where her presence is forever felt. We're a broken family of 3, struggling to find out how to live this life through the silence and emptiness that her absence has left behind. The joy that she brought to our home has been completely replaced with grief, and we are just left holding the pieces of a life that will never feel whole again. She will not get to be at my wedding and next to me as my maid of honor. I get to deal with explaining to my future children what happened to their Aunt Laken and why they won't ever be able to get to feel her love or be spoiled by her. All of these experiences were and will be stripped of me against my will, and I now live in a constant state of fear, anger, and sadness. I think about how my sister saw exactly what was coming and had no way of preventing it. I think about how scared she must have been and how that man is the only one to truly witness that scene. I'm not sure why he did this to my Laken, and I know I will never understand. I've waited for him to have a reason, but as the details of this case have unfolded, I realize I'll never get any peace or closure. What Jose Ibarra did to my sister is almost unbearable to listen to. I am completely disgusted having to even look and be in the same room as him. That predator is inhumane and is the epitome of evil. I have no doubt in my mind that the monster sitting in this room with us today is the same monster that encountered my precious sister on February 22nd, 2024, where he proceeded to attack, assault, beat, murder, and attempt to rape her. Jose Antonio Ibarra has completely and utterly ruined my life, and I can only hope and pray that he receives a sentence that ruins his. Thank you.
This is so sad because this should not have happened. Like, all of these cases are so preventable and should not happen. And why are we wasting more taxpayer dollars on this piece of trash?
Your Honor, I stand here today as a grieving father whose heart was shattered in ways I never thought possible. My daughter, Laken Riley, was not just our child. She was the light of my life, the person who brought joy to every room she entered. And now that light has been extinguished forever, taken from us in the most senseless and violent way imaginable. The pain I feel is unexplainable. Every day I am reminded that my daughter is gone. I will never hear her laugh again, never see her smile, never hold her hand or feel her hug. She was taken from us, from her family, from her friends, from her future. Our world has been torn apart, and no matter what happens here today, nothing will ever bring her back. I am haunted by the thought of the fear she must have felt in those final moments, and it breaks my heart knowing that she suffered. I have to live with the fact that I could not protect her when she needed me the most. The pain of not being there, of not being able to stop what happened to her, is something I will never escape. My daughter had so many dreams, so many hopes for the future.
Yeah, she
She
was the
had
border
worked
czar.
so hard to become a nurse,
No matter
to
how
work
hard
with
they tried to
children and
erase
spread
it.
the love of God. She was a loving, kind, and intelligent young woman. She had so much to offer the world, and her life was taken from her far too soon. I will never get to see her achieve those dreams. The void that has been left is unmeasurable. The impact of her loss on our family is immeasurable. As a father, I am forever burdened with the pain of losing my child. I will spend the rest of my life trying to navigate this grief.
He doesn't
Trying
even
to make
care.
sense of the world that
He
took
has
my
zero
daughter from our family.
craps to give.
But I will never forget her. I will keep her memory alive. And I hope justice is served for her, not only because I'm her father, but because she deserves it. I ask that you consider this life that was taken, the pain that has been caused, and the lasting effects of this tragedy on everyone who loved our amazing daughter, Laken Riley. Thank you.
Lily Steiner, Sophia Madonna, Connolly Hood. Connolly's only the first row.
Good afternoon. As I stated in my testimony, my name is Connolly Huth. Laken Riley was my roommate for 2 years, my devoted and loyal running partner for 2 years, and my best friend forever. I stand before you looking at you through eyes that have seen, ears that have heard, and a heart that has felt emotions no body, and especially no 22-year-old should have to. On February 21st, my life was complete. I woke up on February 21st at 7:30 a.m., walked out of my bedroom door to streamers hung outside of my bedroom from the top of the door frame to the floor, balloons blown, decorations taped, and gifts presented precisely on my kitchen island. Laken did it. It was my 22nd birthday. She had a 5 a.m. nursing clinical, yet she woke up at 4:30 a.m. to make me feel loved and appreciated, because that is who Laken Riley was. I went to dinner that night with my roommates and my family, and ended the night with my roommates, and especially Laken, showering me with love. It is clear and evident that this defendant, Jose Ibarra, has never felt this type of love and appreciation. I've been impacted by this brutal cowardice and preventable tragedy in every way, shape, and form. I no longer have a best friend that I relay every thought or worry to. I no longer run every day. I lost my partner, and I lost the joy of what running was before Laken was taken from us. I cannot imagine running when I constantly am looking over my shoulder in public, wondering if I am next. I live with excruciating guilt every day that I was not accompanying Laken on this run, and that it was her and not me. And I hope and pray that it will never happen again to anyone. Along with this, the crime that this monster committed ruined one of the most special places in our friendship. Lake Herrick was Laken and I's safe space. We loved to go on running adventures throughout the park together. We had a code called dock time. Dock time consisted of either ending our runs or taking a calming walk to the dock at Lake Herrick. Here we would sit in silence, play music, or talk while sitting on the dock, simply enjoying each other's presence. All it took was a text saying, "I need dock time," and we were on the way to debrief whatever we needed to discuss. Now, when I think of this beautiful spot, I think of the terror and horror my sweet best friend had to endure at the hands of this monster. I think of all the things I have to do now to remember Laken. At times, I forget how she laughs or how she sounds, and I have to resort to looking through my camera roll of hundreds of videos I have. Videos where I talk to my future kids and introduce them to their Aunt Laken in college. To talk to my friend, I have to drive 20 minutes to her grave and sit and talk to her with no response, screaming at the sky. When I want to remember her, I have to go to my closet and pull out her clothes I was given and smell them to remember how she smelled. As I stand up here today, I am wearing one of Laken's shirts. This shirt has sat in my closet for months, not because I'm saving it for an occasion, but because I cannot afford to not remember these things like this about her. I sit in therapy week after week trying to heal February 22nd and life after. When I hear emergency vehicle sirens, I am triggered. I sat that day and watched dozens of emergency personnel drive by as I sat helpless. My roommates and I had to draw our own conclusions that the pinnacle of our house was no longer here when we watched a coroner drive by us after sitting at the fields for 2 hours with no answers. Our fears were confirmed when we received a university-wide email that alerted students, faculty, and staff that a female was deceased. I lost faith in humanity the day that my kind, selfless, beautiful, smart, loving, and perfect best friend left this earth. I will never understand why it had to happen in the first place, but more importantly, why out of all people, it had to be her. The world lost a girl who would take the clothes off her back for her family, friends, and even strangers, who studied and devoted her life to Christ and nursing so she could save lives and make a difference in this world. Laken cannot be replaced. If you had the ability to bring her back out of all this, I would give up every earthly possession I have to see her infectious smile, hear her contagious laugh, and her infamous "love you, girl," and I would hug her neck, but you cannot. Laken made this world, and more specifically my world, better. My first 2 years of college, when I did not know Laken, I went home all the time. My last years of college, you had to drag me home. That was because Laken was my person. So, Your Honor, I wish to proclaim the maximum sentence for the defendant, as I will never be the same. Her loving, beautiful family will never be the same, and this world will never be the same. I hope this sentencing sets a precedent so it stops with Laken and fails to happen to anyone again. Laken was a hero and a warrior. She died a hero and a warrior, and she is a hero and warrior to all of us. Laken was my source of light, joy, and unwavering happiness. So when her life was taken, so was the part of me that knew how to truly feel those things again. Thank you, Your Honor.
Lily Steiner.
Your Honor, my name is Lily Steiner, and as mentioned in my testimony, I was one of Laken's roommates, friends, and family. On the day of February 22nd, 2024, Laken Riley was taken by Jose Ibarra from her family, her roommates, her friends, her sorority sisters, her classmates, her future children, her future husband, and her future patients. This trial focused on the death of Laken, which has overshadowed the life that she lived, the life that was stolen from this community. Laken was the most driven student with the biggest heart of anyone I think I ever will meet. As roommates, we got to spend a whole lot of time together. We had our family dinners that were strictly chili. We watched Dancing with the Stars every Tuesday. We had almost daily Starbucks runs, which I hoped to do that morning when I checked her location around the time she took her final breaths. We'd often get to a point at least once a week where we'd get emotional, thinking about what life was going to be like once we graduated. Laken held a place in all of our imaginary futures. Now, Sophia, Connolly, and I graduated in May, required to move on with our lives, while Laken can't. We have the privilege to get jobs and move to an exciting new city to experience post-grad life, but Laken doesn't. I'm currently working as a medical assistant, waking up every day dreading that I won't get a text from her to make my day better. I'm striving to work in the medical field, but I know I could never be half the healthcare worker that Laken would have been and that the world was deprived of. While living together, we often would play outside of our house in the middle of the street, specifically Foursquare, listening to a playlist I made called Playtime with My Family. Our home was such a special place to us, one that was tainted. Athens has never been the same, nor will it ever be. Shortly after Laken's death, I had to come back to UGA to finish my classes without Laken and without the safe space that we built together, and it was awful. Every time I wanted to go somewhere, I had to drive by the apartments that provided a roof over his head while he got to rip away ours. Life without Laken has been so dull. Having to learn how to navigate time without her through grief, anger, and fear has been beyond difficult. So many people are lost without her. Laken made her short time on Earth so significant that she managed to impact those who she never even met. Laken left a colossal legacy to everyone she touched, and I have zero doubt that she is still not finished building it. And that is something Jose Ibarra will never be able to take away. I hope to never say his name again, but to shout Laken's every chance I get. I kindly ask your honor that you help us all in our long healing journey by allotting the maximum sentence for Jose that unfortunately still won't make up for the beautiful life taken.
Your Honor, my name is Sophia Magana. I'm Laken Riley's roommate of 3 years. I stand before you today with a heart full of grief, sadness, and an overwhelming sense of loss of my best friend. Laken wasn't just my best friend. She was my roommate, my sorority sister, and above all, she was my chosen family. The joy and kindness Laken brought into my life every single day can never fully be put into words. We confided in each other, supported each other through life's challenges, and celebrated our joys together. The loss of my best friend has shattered my world in ways I never thought possible. I never imagined that I'd have to navigate life without her by my side. Every day, her friends, family, and loved ones carry the weight of her absence, a weight that is heavy and unrelenting. Laken was my fearless other half. As someone who's reserved and awkward, Laken was always there to nudge me to step out of my comfort zone. She would pull me onto the dance floor and encourage me to try new things and remind me to live life to the fullest. I trusted her completely, and I always knew she was there for me as I was for her. Those small, precious pieces of life that we once took for granted are now reminders of what I've lost. Laken taught so many people in her life invaluable lessons. She showed me how to find joy in every moment, how to embrace life with an open heart, and how to dance in a crowded room without caring what anyone else thought. These lessons will stay with me forever. Laken was not just my best friend. She was a devoted daughter, a loving sister, and a cherished friend to so many. She was an exceptional student with a bright future ahead of her, destined to become a nurse who would touch countless lives with her compassion and care. I miss hearing her laugh, seeing her smile, and hearing her voice, all of which brought warmth and light to all those around her. Now we are forced to confront an unthinkable reality. We will never again hear the joy of her laughter, feel the warmth of her smile, or find peace in the sound of her voice. The loss of Laken has left a hole in our hearts that can never be filled. The monster who took Laken's life has clearly never known love, like the love Laken showed everyone in her life. Love that was boundless, love that was a testament to the amazing person she was. Jose Ibarra brutally attacked Laken. And now spaces that were once filled with joy and peace are places I fear for my safety. I now live my life in a fear, constantly looking over my shoulder with the new reality that the unexpected can happen. A world Laken taught me to embrace is now a world I feel unsafe in. Every day I put on a brave face as I step into my classroom, ready to teach and support my students. I mask my emotions and fears to shield them from the harsh realities of the world, preserving their sense of security and innocence in the world. Yet inside, I'm struggling, holding back tears until I can slip away to the bathroom or wait for the school day to end so I can finally let my true emotions surface beyond those four walls. February 22nd, 2024 is a day I will never forget. It is a day Jose Ibarra chose to commit an unthinkable act of murder Laken. He took from this world somebody who embodied love and light. Jose took my light, my sense of joy, my best friend, and my other half. Losing Laken has left an enormous hole in my life. The world feels quieter, emptier, and far less joyful without her in it. Her absence is felt in every corner of my day-to-day life, and I don't know how to fill the space that she once occupied. But what I do know is this. Laken's legacy of love, kindness, and friendship will live in all of us who knew her. The love she gave so freely will continue to guide me as I navigate this life without her. Jose Antonio Barra took Laken's life, and I hope that your verdict ensures that Jose experiences lifelong pain that is only a small glimpse of the pain we will live with daily since the loss of Laken. No punishment will ever truly account for what Jose has done, but it is my hope that justice will honor Laken's memory and the profound impact she had on all of our lives. Thank you.
Abby, Evelyn. This is Abby Haviland.
You want me to read it for you?
You want to read it? Can you read it?
I can.
Okay. So, Your Honor, Miss Carrie Howell will be reading the statement for Abby. And this is Abby's statement that she prepared, but will be read right here.
It was 1:49 p.m. on February 22nd of 2024 that I learned Laken was missing. I immediately text her, "Laken, where are you? Why are people saying you're missing?" Just minutes after 2:17 p.m., a campus email came out confirming my worst nightmare. Laken had been found unconscious and not breathing. Laken, the girl I met in middle school and became best friends with our freshman year of high school. The girl I couldn't imagine being far away from when it came time for college, so we both decided to attend the University of Georgia together. The girl who stuck by me and got me through some of my toughest times in life, as well as accompanied me during some of my best. The loss of her is something I will never be able to come to terms with. I will never be able to come to terms with the fact that I was sitting in class just down the road, going about my day, the morning this horrific event was taking place. I will never not think about the last time I saw her, the pink sweatshirt she was wearing, and the last words she ever said to me. I will never not think about all the things I would have said had I known it would be my last time seeing her and talking to her. Myself, everyone up here, and the world has lost such a special person. Laken was intelligent, patient, loyal, driven, and kind. Her pureness and love for the Lord were evident and shined through her in a way unlike anyone I have ever met before. She is in a better place, but it is not fair that the rest of us still here on earth have to suffer because of this individual's actions. Because of this individual, some of my happiest days, such as the day I get married and have kids, will be forever accompanied by a feeling of grief, a sadness that Laken will not be there with me to experience them. Because of this individual, I have so many fun memories, but no one here to share them with. Because of this individual, I will be searching for the rest of my life for a friendship like the one I shared with Laken, but I know I will never find one because ours was simply unreplicable. I am here today to support Laken. I hope to provide only a fraction of the support she continuously gave me during her time here on earth. I miss her desperately and long for the day I get to see her again. Since February 22nd of 2024, I will forever be changed.
Sophia Plum. Palomino. Palomino. Palomino.
Good afternoon. February 22nd, 2022 changed my life forever. Not being in Athens that day will forever haunt me. Finding out through an email will forever haunt me. And seeing this posted all over social media will forever haunt me. Laken Riley was my best friend, the person I told everything to, and the person I trusted with anything. The pain of the last 9 months has been indescribable. If you would have asked me a year ago where I thought I'd be and what I would do in 2024, I'd tell you I'd be finishing up my second to last semester of college with Laken as my roommate as she finishes nursing school. I'd tell you we spent St. Patrick's Day together in Savannah, and I'd tell you we went on that trip we planned to New York. I'd tell you she finally got me into running, and she would train me for the Av Half this year. I'd tell you many things and many of our plans, but instead I get to tell you how different my year was. I get to tell you that I can't do anything by myself anymore, even in broad daylight. I get to tell you that a town I used to love being in just fills me with dread. That everywhere I go just reminds me of places we used to hang out and go on walks to. I tell you that I can't go past her old house and haven't been able to return to the IM field since. I tell you the weight of emptiness I feel when I still go to text her sometimes. This is now something I have to live with for the rest of my life, knowing her life was taken too soon and things I was looking forward to will never happen. Being at each other's weddings, graduating together, and seeing each other's start our careers. This wasn't just a life that was taken, it was a future stolen. It's difficult living with knowing that nothing and nobody will fill the hole that's been left in her absence. I will never get to experience her famous belly laugh again, her comforting presence, or her cheering me on as we go through life. So many what ifs play in my head over and over. If just one more thing maybe would have changed her path that day. But instead, my reality is that she is not here. And that because of what this animal did, we have sat here all week hearing every fraction of evidence and reliving the worst days of our life on repeat. I know nothing will bring her back, even though I so badly wish it would, but justice would bring comfort to us all. No one who can take away such a light and sweet soul deserves to walk free ever again. The death of my best friend has changed my life forever.
Carrie Howell.
Hi, Your Honor. I've started this over and over and over. Feeling paralyzed in my thoughts. With overwhelming emotions, not knowing which direction to go, because there's so much that can be said today. Everyone has spoken so beautifully over her, and I had the privilege of getting to speak about her at her celebration of life and getting to talk about all of the beautiful and wonderful things about her. My name is Carrie Howell, and my husband Matt and I have had the blessing of calling Laken and Lauren's parents, John and Allison Phillips, our best friends. John and Matt met in college, where they were roommates and fraternity brothers, and they formed a bond as friends that grew into a true brotherhood. This brotherhood between them extended to connect our families together in the same exact way. It is a friendship that runs deep and loves big. Our families and children have grown up together and had many adventures and vacations together over the last 20 plus years. We have had the privilege and joy of watching Laken and Lauren grow up. 272 days ago, on the morning of February 22nd, 2024, our lives were forever changed in a way none of us could have ever imagined. The moment I got the call from my husband that Laken had not returned home from her morning run, that no one could get her on the phone and she was missing, I knew in my heart something horrific had happened to her. I had the worst feeling that she was no longer with us, but I prayed and prayed and prayed as I frantically got ready to make the drive to Athens to be with my friends. I was begging the Lord for her to still be alive, and as terrible as this would be, that she had just been kidnapped and would be found physically unharmed and alive, or that she would be able to escape to safety, and praying she wasn't being trafficked. I was literally praying for her to not be kidnapped. Like, that sounds so crazy. But that just at the time seemed better than the alternative. I've never prayed for anyone to be kidnapped. I get the calls on my phone, and in fact, I pray for those people to be found and unharmed. Can you imagine your pleading prayers with the Lord being for someone you adore and love to just be kidnapped? That option gave me hope in that moment that she would be brought back to her family alive. I was desperate for my friends. This nightmare spiraled out of control when I received another call from my husband while he was on the road, or while I was on the road to Athens. John had called my husband, and he said to my husband, "She's with Jesus, brother." That will never leave my memory. As my oldest daughter and I sat in traffic on our way to Athens, time seemed to have stopped in that moment. Yet, as we are here 272 days later, time has continued. It has continued in ebbs and flows of every emotion you can experience. Time has stood still in utter disbelief that this precious human is gone, while day-to-day life continues on. This was an act of pure evil at the hands of Jose Antonio Ibarra. He willfully chose to prey on innocent young women on the morning of February 22nd, with Laken Riley being the young woman he would succeed in torturing in the most excruciating and brutal way while she fought not only for her life, but for her dignity. He must have believed that she was there for his taking, that he was entitled to whatever sick, perverted urges and desires he had that morning. Not one person on this planet has even one right to take what they want from a person simply because they want it. Yet Jose did that. Because of his evil actions, we are all being forced to learn how to navigate life with the stark, harsh reality of Laken no longer being here. Her amazing friends have been robbed of the beautiful gift of lifelong friendships and doing life together with their future husbands and children, the way my family and the Phillips family have been blessed to do all of these years. Her grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins feel the absence of her presence constantly and have been robbed of the continued blessing of her being
Kitty
a bright light in
Peach.
their family.
Hello. Long time no see.
My family and I have journeyed alongside our dear friends as they attempt to navigate and learn how to live a new normal without their oldest daughter. I've gotten to know my best friend's face in a new way, the way I would give back if I could make returns on the most devastating circumstances life can hold. I look at her and I know when a situation is too much. I know when a comment is too much. I know when to be silent and when she needs encouragement. This year is showing on all of our faces, like the harshness of cold winter days, that there seems to be no end in sight. But we will keep fighting because we refuse to allow Jose Antonio Ibarra to take anything else from us, and we serve a good and mighty God. We've already been forced to journey through our annual family vacation without her, family get-togethers, fun events. And the absence of her presence is so deafening. I mean, sure, we still laugh and we're still living. We're still here. So we have to keep living, and we're going to honor her with everything that we have. And we're just going to keep trusting in the Lord to help our dear friends and sweet Lauren with all of the things that they're now not going to experience with their daughter. No parent should have to say goodbye to their daughter in this manner. The loss of a child is devastating no matter what the circumstances are. But when it's something like this where evil intentionally goes out to
Yes,
harm
welcome
somebody,
back.
there's no words for it. And so today I stand before you with her friends and family, and we ask you, Your Honor, to bring earthly justice for our precious Laken and for all of us who love her so very much. She was truly one of the most precious people that I've ever
She
had
thought
the
she
honor
was
of
done.
knowing. She exhibited the fruit of the Spirit in the Bible, because she truly lived her life for Jesus, as you got to hear John read in her journal entry. That was her. That was a private entry, not for anyone else. And you got to see the type of person that she truly is in her heart. Pure and lovely, and her laugh that everyone has talked about, literally one of all of our favorite things about her. And we never get to hear it again because of him. So we ask, Your Honor, for you to consider in your sentencing for him to not be able to ever be out of prison, and for him to spend all of his days there without any possibility of getting out. Thank you.
Tell me your name.
It is Carrie Howell.
Carrie?
Yes, sir.
And Your Honor, that at this time completes the statements for victim impact evidence from Laken's family and friends. The state would also have a few more items to present for victim impact, and then I'll address the indictment with the court. And one of the things I wanted to share with the court is that a lot of times when we hear victim impact evidence, it is very much so the way that we hear it here in court. Hold on, I'm going to pause this for you. But what we have in this case is something that I ran across a review of the evidence in this case, which is really 1 minute of when or where this court will be able to get the true impact of what the murder of Laken Riley did to her family and the impact of his actions on her family.
Yeah,
because
there have been
what
a
the
lot.
investigators did in this case is, as you know, they were all wearing body cam videos, and there's hundreds of hours of it in here. And there is one moment where, and I'm just going to play 1 minute of it, just 1 minute of the horror that this family has gone through in the last 9 months and what they're going to continue to go through for the rest of their lives. And it is the moment that they learned that their daughter was dead. And in this video clip that I'm showing, which I've marked as states 333, at the top right corner, it's at 1950. You'll see a black truck.
Our daughter is Laken. Our daughter is Laken. Okay, let's step up here. Come on, let's go. Come here, all right? It's not good. I don't want to tell you yes or no because I don't have names. I don't know who anybody is. I do know that this is a pretty serious incident.
That's what they endured. And that's how it was on that day. When they came here
to look for their daughter. And what it took away, you heard from her friends and family, and some of the things that you even heard in the trial. You got a little peek, just a little peek, about the personality of Laken Riley. For example, in Lily's 911 call, one of the things she says is, Laken never misses class. Never misses class. That's the kind of person she was. And in our review of all the evidence in this case, some of the things we had to look at were the social media presence of everyone, and there was a lot of digital evidence in this case. And the review of the digital evidence, I want to share with you just some of it, which has been marked State's Exhibit 336, is that Laken was a very joyful and quite silly, playful person. And a lot of that is viewed in her social media. And the Ring doorbell. Running. Same race. And these are just little snippets that we saw in the investigation that we thought would be important to share with the court, that shows not only the type of person that she was, that you just heard from her friends and family, but the true impact that her murder had on her parents. But more than that, one of the things that the court is permitted to consider in victim impact testimony is the impact that her death has on this community. And in that regard, the investigative team has spent a great deal of time out there at the crime scene, Lake Herrick, all of those trails, and looking for things, measuring things, just going about the daily jobs of homicide investigators and homicide prosecutors. And one thing that we noticed that's still there is State's 335. It's a mural, a memorial to Laken Riley that is still up there to this day, that shows the impact of her death on this community. And that is something that Your Honor is permitted to consider in deciding what would be an appropriate sentence in this case. And everyone is correct, and I'm sure we'll hear it. You know, whatever you do, Judge, you can't bring her back, and it's horrible. But what you can do is give comfort with your sentence. And what you can do and what you are permitted to do, and what I urge this court to do, and what the law permits this court to do, is to exercise your discretion and your judgment in a way that brings comfort to this community, and in a way that a sentence which appropriately reflects the harm that was done in this case. And a sentence of life without the possibility of parole would bring comfort to this community. And no matter what your sentence is today, and it will be litigated from here to 40 years from now, there is at least one person in this courtroom who will inherit it. And that is Lauren Phillips. That is Laken's younger sister. And she should never, first of all, she's growing up without her sister. She's going to have to deal with elderly parents alone. Her children won't have an aunt. She is an only child. And she should not have to worry 30 years from now, 40 years from now, if he comes up for parole, should he might get out. She should never have to worry about that. And your sentence can ensure that she will not have to worry about that. And so in looking at the indictment in this case, count one, the offense of malice murder, which this defendant has been found guilty of, in this particular case carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. It carries a minimum sentence of life imprisonment with the possibility of parole. The state is requesting that you sentence this defendant to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, not only due to the victim impact testimony, but also because if you read the indictment, which you have obviously, and you're familiar with the facts because you've heard the case, there are several statutory aggravators in this case that separates this case from a regular murder case. And yes, there is malice murder, and all malice murder is bad. I'm not saying there's a malice murder that isn't bad, but there are some malice murders which are more aggravated than others, and this is one of them. Kidnapping with bodily injury, which is the felony murder in count 2, which by the way would be vacated as a matter of law, but not the kidnapping itself, which is count 5. But kidnapping with bodily injury is an aggravating statutory factor under our sentencing scheme in the state of Georgia. It makes malice murder worse than regular murder. And for that reason alone, you should sentence this defendant to life without the possibility of parole. Aggravated battery, which is also in this indictment and which is also the facts, and it's also something he's been convicted of, is also a statutory aggravator under our statutory scheme, which makes this murder different and worse than a regular malice murder. So there are aggravating circumstances, which you have already heard, which I will not repeat to you, but that are not only recognized by the facts, but are recognized by our statutory sentencing scheme. So going down the rest of the indictment, felony murder count 2 is vacated as a matter of law. Felony murder count 3 would be vacated as a matter of law. Felony murder count 4 would be vacated as a matter of law. On count 5, kidnapping with bodily injury, the state is asking you to sentence this defendant to a sentence of life imprisonment with the possibility of parole, which is the maximum for that count. And we are going to ask that you run that consecutive count 1, a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for the malice murder. Count 6 is aggravated assault with intent to rape. It does not merge. In fact, it is a separate crime under these circumstances. The penalty for that is 1 to 20 years in prison. The state would be asking you to sentence this defendant to 20 years to serve in prison. Count 7 of the indictment, the aggravated battery, would merge as a matter of law into count 1. So we would not request a sentence on that count. Count 8, obstruction or hindering a person making an emergency telephone call, is a misdemeanor. The maximum penalty for that is 12 months to serve in a county jail. We ask that you sentence him to that and run it consecutive to any other sentence that you impose in this case. Count 9, tampering with evidence, the way that it is actually alleged in the indictment and factually it is a misdemeanor. So the maximum for that is 12 months to serve in the county jail. We ask that you sentence him to that and run it consecutive to any other sentence that you impose in this case. And finally, count 10 of the indictment, peeping Tom, is a felony which carries a penalty between 1 to 5 years in prison. We ask that you sentence him to 5 years to serve in prison to run consecutive to count 1. So to sum it up on the sentence would be on count 1, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Count 5, life imprisonment with the possibility of parole to run consecutive to count 1. Count 6, 20 years to serve to run consecutive. Count 7 will merge. Count 8, 12 months to serve to run consecutive. Count 9, 12 months to serve to run consecutive. And count 10, 5 years to serve to run consecutive. And that is the sentence that the state is requesting.
Mr. Donnelly.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So obviously the court is aware that on count 1, there's really only 2 options for the court. It's an automatic life sentence. The only option is whether the court can indicate that it should be without the possibility of future parole. We're asking the court to not impose that. The life without parole. Getting a life sentence is automatic. There's certainly no guarantee of parole, and would be
Sorry, y'all. My light just died on me.
Uncertain, and it would be many decades.
You like this
future.
look?
And we do not oppose the state's recommendation that the life sentence, which is also mandatory on count 5, be made consecutive. We certainly, just to state the obvious, trust that the court will not consider for sentencing purposes the fact that Mr. Ibarra had a trial. The defense has made every attempt, made every effort to do its job and to pursue this process in a way to respect both the process itself and also to not cause any disrespect toward the feelings of Ms. Riley's loved ones. And if anything like that has happened, it certainly was not intended. And the defense is not immune to the sensitivity of this case. Again, to not only her loved ones, but to the greater community. The state's request is not unexpected to us. We anticipated that, and it's certainly understandable. And there is, though, a divide there. The state, while it is understandable the request that they make, the court, there's some separation given here in this process, and the court will be the one to impose it. So our request that you give consecutive life sentences on counts 1 and count 5. We have no position on the remaining counts. We'll send a message that to whatever future custodian of Mr. Ibarra as to the gravity of this crime and the gravity of this situation. That the court has expressed an intention for, it's obviously a legal fiction that he would serve 2 life sentences behind bars, but the law allows that, and it does, it sends that message to the future custodians as to the gravity. But the withholding of the life without parole aspect of count 1 would at least give Mr. Ibarra the sliver of incentive to reflect and conduct himself with some recognition of that reflection. The state agency and the staff of that agency who will be tasked with supervising his custody will have the opportunity to monitor him closely for, again, many years, many decades into the future. And it's impossible to know the future, obviously. But by imposing life sentences without removing the future custodians to the ability to do their job is our request at this time. And we also would point out that given his status with, there is an immigration hold, that were he ever in the future to be released, it would only to be deported.
Sure. Because they'll come right back. I promise you that. They come right back. You do not know how many
In the discretion of the court, thank you.
illegal immigrants I had arrested for shoplifting and arrested again in the same store for shoplifting. And was like, oh my God, how the heck did you get back here so fast? They get back so fast because they're only held in a detention facility and then they're released. So this whole garbage about them getting deported doesn't actually happen like people think it does. So just so you know, it doesn't happen that way. And also, it's not that we're like so against.
Before I announce the sentence, let me. I just have a couple of thoughts. One is, oftentimes people use the term closure at an event like this, and
there's no such thing.
I acknowledge that there's no such thing as closure. There will not be closure. This is just another stage or event in this tragedy, and that's the way I view that. People mean well by saying that, but it's I've heard it explained that when you have something like this,
I know. We can't either.
that
For real,
impacts
we can't either.
one or many. You even have to make a conscious effort to breathe at sometimes, and that just comes on you at any particular. You just don't know what's going to bring it on you. And you realize that you do make it through the day, but you don't know how you did it. But I also, and this goes back to what Carrie Howell was saying, that, as many times as you reflect on the loss, at some point you start smiling about the memories. And I'm hopeful that at some point that takes over to a certain extent. But there's very little, including the sentence of Mr. Ibarra, that's going to help much. And I acknowledge that. With that, Mr. Ibarra, if you will please stand. Count one, malice murder. I sentence you to life without the possibility of parole. Count two will be vacated as a matter of operation of law. Count three, vacated by operation of law. Count four, vacated by operation of law. Count five, life in prison consecutive to count one. Count six, 20 years to serve consecutive to count five. Count seven will merge with count one. Count eight, 12 months consecutive to count six. Strike that. 12 months, but I don't want it to six. It's just going to be consecutive. Count nine, 12 months consecutive. Count 10, 5 years consecutive to count six. So that would mean the misdemeanors would come after the felonies. That will be the sentence. Mr. Ibarra, I will advise you that you have 30 days from today to seek any post-judgment relief in the form of a motion for a new trial or appealing this case directly. If you make a motion for a new trial and that is denied, you have 30 days from that date to file your first appeal, first level of appeal. Court will appoint a lawyer to represent you if you cannot afford one. I'll also advise you that you have 4 years from the date that your conviction becomes final in order to file a habeas corpus petition. Mr. Donnelly, can you tell me, are you all going to be involved in the next stage?
That remains to be seen, but my understanding is that we will remain on at the court's appointment until unless relieved by conflict counsel.
All and you'll make those
We will
arrangements.
communicate that with Mr. Ibarra and with the court.
Okay.
So no.
Anything else, Ms. Ross?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. It's going to take a little. Yeah. Can we take? Okay, that'll be fine. Can do that.
Everybody remain seated, please.
So off to jail he goes.
All right. That will conclude the proceedings.
Off to jail he goes. So all I have to say about this is number one, I know a lot of people are curious as to how in the world does this man get a trial in America? He's an illegal immigrant. So how does he get a trial in America? So I looked up our Constitution because I was trying to figure out how does he get a trial in America? But our Constitution does not define the difference between a citizen and a non-citizen. It says every person gets a fair and speedy trial. So that is what our Constitution says. It doesn't say whether you're legal or not legal. It says every person. So it doesn't say whether you're black, white, woman, male, any of that. It just says every person is entitled to counsel. Every person is entitled to a fair trial. So we don't discriminate, obviously, which is really crazy that anybody can have counsel. So it kind of stinks that we have spent taxpayer dollars not just on this person to come into our country illegally, not properly vetted. So just to say that it's not that we don't want immigration to be allowed in our country. That is not what we're saying, and that's not how we want people to perceive as people call us the far right, or whatever they want to call us, MAGA, or whatever they're calling us, because we don't want this type of immigration to come through because that person was not properly vetted. So this person literally hunted, he stalked, he was a peeping Tom, whatever you want to call it, the term. He was hunting for women, females. He was hunting for them, looking for the right person to catch. And even in the morning, in the daylight, he was hunting at night. He was hunting during the morning. He was doing that. He originally was brought to New York, and they asked for a humanitarian flight. Who knew you could ask for a humanitarian flight from New York to Atlanta? And that's how they ended up in Georgia. I know this to be true, that they can get free flights. They got free housing, and they were at the Roosevelt in New York. So they were staying at a very nice hotel in New York City. So they had a great hotel space in New York City. They found out from somehow, somewhere, that they could get jobs in Georgia, and they asked for a humanitarian free flight to Georgia. And I know they get free flights because I have flown on a flight from Texas to New Jersey where a quarter of the flight were illegal immigrants. They were wearing ankle monitors and had envelopes full of information of where they were going. They had brand new cell phones. They had whatever little freebie stuff they had in those envelopes to take them to where they were going. So I can only imagine what it must be like to be into a new country that you don't know anything about, you don't speak the language, and you're being brought here and you're being flown to another state as soon as you've crossed the border. So it's probably really scary. So I do have some sympathy for this situation, but at the same time, I also am concerned for our country because we're giving our taxpayer dollars to people who don't come here legally. There is a legal way to come to our country. There is a legal way to be vetted. There is a legal way to ask for asylum. So they put them in a, exactly, they paid for their apartment. Right. So that I don't know how they pick a place. They've literally been putting them into the fancy hotels in New York, fancy hotels in Chicago, fancy hotels. They're putting them into wherever they can put them. And they're giving them jobs. I can tell you how many Amazon drivers, how many DoorDash people. Yes, a lot of people. If Trump does in fact deport a lot of these illegal immigrants, I can guarantee you a lot of people are going to be out of work. A lot of jobs are companies are going to be without some employees because there are a lot of Amazon drivers, a lot of DoorDash people that come to my job. They don't speak a lick of English, not a bit. And they're always coming to me with the app on, they show me their phone and they're always like, where do I go? What? I no speak, no habla, no habla, no habla. And they're always showing me their phone of where, and I'm like, you follow, you go to the apartment and you drop the package off. I don't speak your language. You don't speak my language, but I know that these people can't possibly be legal. And yet they're driving a car. They're driving in our area. So I'm shocked. I'm stunned. So there are jobs in our country. Yes, there are jobs. But the problem is the people that live in our country don't want to work those jobs. So, I'm tired of hearing about how I can't get a job because I'm Black. I can't get a job because I'm this or because I'm that. I'm so tired of hearing the race card being thrown around. There are jobs. There are jobs. I have taken a huge pay cut. Huge. I sound like Trump because I used to work a real job. I had an executive level job where I made a lot of money, not like millionaire money, but I made very, very good money. And obviously, because I'm epileptic, now I can't work that kind of job, but I have taken huge pay cuts and I work part-time because I had to sacrifice for my, whatever you want to call it, my health. So, but people, that's the problem. People here in America think they're too good to take a pay cut to just continuously work until they find the right job that's for them. They don't want to do that. They don't want to take a pay cut just to stay employed. So that's why the jobs that Americans don't want go to people that are not legal. And they're continuously working those jobs. So I don't want to hear that we're going to lose this or lose that because of these illegal immigrants. They shouldn't be here if they're not going through the proper process. Now, don't get me wrong. What I do think that the process should be a little easier, possibly, because if I had to take that test to become an American citizen, I probably wouldn't pass it. You know why? I bet you the majority of Americans would not pass the test to become an American citizen, because our country is stupid. They are dumb. We are not taught American history properly. So I can promise you the majority of American citizens would not pass that citizenship test because we are not taught about American history the same way that illegal immigrants are taught in order to pass the citizenship test. So, right, students need jobs. Right. It's the same way. We have the same thing happening here in our country that you have in your country. So it's just crazy. We can't own a home. They're right next door to me. There's a home for sale. Like we live in a duplex. Like it's half a house. There's a house connected to us next door. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot house. We share a wall with another house. Same layout. Okay. They were all cookie cutter houses. Okay. This house next door to us is selling for $400,000. I'm like, what? Are you insane? Are you people insane? Do you think you're going to get $400,000 for that house? 400,000? Yeah, it's a duplex, Jenny Peach. $400,000. No one in America, you can't afford it. Who can afford that? That's insanity. You can get a whole house. Back home where I'm from in Alabama, you can get a nice house with land for $400,000. Not here where I live in Texas. But that's the thing. Who can own a home? And the interest rate right now is 7%. That's insane. I cannot wait for Trump to get back in office. I can't wait. I can't wait because I can't wait for all these wars to end. And Biden is trying to start World War III before he gets out, just so Trump will have to inherit a war when he gets into office. This is craziness what they're doing. The Democrats are literally threatening Republican lives. They're posting on social media threatening lives. To me, that is a domestic terrorist. What is happening right now in America is basically like leading to civil war, because this type of stuff, like they literally rode on a platform about abortion, killing babies. That was their platform. Women should have the right to kill babies. Instead of saying it that way, of course, though, it was like women are going to lose all their rights. As soon as President Trump is put into office, women are going to lose all their rights. They platformed themselves on killing babies. If your body is more important than a baby's life, there's something seriously wrong with you. But that is what they platformed on, killing babies. And so now they're all upset and up in arms about they can't kill babies. So I know everything is. There's nowhere to go. There's like nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. But I will say America spoke. They spoke in large, voluminous numbers, and almost the entire country flipped red, because it is a blessing in disguise that Donald Trump did not win in 2020, that the country had to see what it would be like 4 years of just nonsenseless stuff happening. And people had to see. And do you know now that the Democrats have made their own platform called Blue Sky? Only Democrats are allowed on there. So who's making the division? Who is causing division? Who is the ones that are saying we're divided? Who's doing that? It's not Republicans. We're all about free speech. We're all about, we're listening. We're hearing all this garbage being spoken about us. We're hearing all of these people saying, separate yourself from your families if they didn't vote for Harris. Don't go to Thanksgiving. Don't go to Christmas. Don't do this. Don't do that. We're listening to people say these things. I had to get off of everything for a while. I only post about Michael and about my YouTube channel now, because I can't listen to another person tell me that I am racist, that I am a horrible. I've been called every name in the book, and not by trolls, literally by friends, because they had to throw race out there. They had to put race in the picture and say that it was because of Black people. I didn't think about Black people. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that Black people are the only people that exist in this world. I didn't realize that everything was just about Black people. So, sorry, my dog is trying to get out from under the covers and he's having a hard time. Yeah, I didn't realize we were in a Black world. I didn't realize that. And now, because Trump's cabinet, they don't see a black person, but never mind, there's women, there's Asians, there's, you know, other races. Never mind, there's that. I'm sure he's going to put a black person in there, but they're just pointing out that there's not any black people. But, you know, Trump is not going to promise, like Biden did, that he's going to put a black woman vice president in office, which, by the way, I don't care, Kamala, you can say she's black if you want to. The color of her skin might be dark, but she's not black. So you can say that all you want to. People are just so up in arms here. It's just an insanity. And they're all up in arms also because there's only two genders and they can't accept that. I don't understand. I don't get it. But okay. It's the country we live in. So it's wild, but to me, like, instead of, you know, even the president, Joe Biden, did not say Laken Riley's name. He called her Laken Riley at the State of the Union address. He couldn't even say her name correctly. And he would not address the influx of people coming into this country. Again, don't care if there's immigrants here. Totally fine with it. Just come the proper way and be properly vetted, because we are allowing a lot of males coming into this country that are seeking asylum, so they say, and they're not males that are safe for this country. So that's scary, because she's not the only person that has been taken out, that has lost their life to illegal immigrants. So it's very scary. And what's worse is now our tax dollars are going to pay for him to be in prison for the rest of his life. And I don't even understand how that's hard to compute as well. So tax dollars paid for him to come in here, tax dollars paid for him to live here, tax dollars paid for him all the freebies, and now tax dollars are going to pay for him 3 meals, 3 hots and a cot for the rest of his life. And it just baffles me. It just absolutely baffles me that, because our Constitution says every person, not every U.S. citizen. So it's a catch-22. So I just want everyone to remember that Laken Riley had a bright future, and she was a child of God. And I think it's really, really sad that this person is going to be a leech on our system and our country for the rest of his life, and that he didn't care. He didn't care. He showed no remorse. The defense tried to blame it on his brother, and tried to make it look like it had to be his brother that did it. And literally all the evidence showed that it was him. Like he was the one that was out there. They had video, they had DNA, they had, his cell phone was like literally overlapped with her cell phone. So nothing like Samantha Wall, where they didn't even show Samantha Wall's phone overlapping with Michael's phone. I'd like to have seen that. If they could have done that, then, you know, maybe it would have been more, make more sense, but they didn't even do that. So it just baffles me. And they had the Find My iPhone sharing on their apps. There's so many. Yeah, there's a few more illegals waiting for the trial. The 2 guys in Houston that took Jocelyn's life, those guys are also. And a lot of these people are, you know, they're just coming across, and they don't people think that if they get deported, they're deported. No, they're not. They sit in a holding facility for a very long time, because I'm telling you, when I worked in loss prevention, I caught the same guy like 3 times. 3 times. And yeah, that woman too. So there's a lot of people. And what about the 9-year-old? Like, nobody talked about that for very long. That man, you know, Ard, can't say the word on here. Yeah, so there are a lot of women and children that have been harmed because of non-vetting. We are not vetting these people coming into our country. And millions of people have come into our country in the last 4 years. Okay? So I just want people to remember that, it's not because, and this is the thing that people say is, well, nobody cares because they only care because Laken Riley's white. I really am so sick and tired of the race card, because Jocelyn wasn't white, she's Hispanic. There's another female, she wasn't white, she was black. So it's not happening to just white girls, okay? So I really wish everybody would stop saying it's because she's white and the only reason people care. So that's not why people care. People care because it's happening from illegal immigrants that are coming in here non-vetted. So Laken Riley is just someone, the reason why it's frustrating about her case is because the president got her name wrong at the State of the Union, and they wouldn't even say her name. They won't even respond about it because it does have to do with all the many, many people they've allowed into this country. And because they tried to erase the fact that Kamala Harris was the border czar, and that the news media cared more about how people pronounce Kamala's name than they do about saying Laken Riley's name. That is what's so super frustrating about this country, and that people care more about women's rights to their bodies and killing babies than they do about the loss of someone's life over these really bad immigration policies and the brainwashing and propaganda that is done in America. I feel like, although I haven't been to other countries, obviously, I feel like is worse than it is in other countries. I haven't seen other countries' propaganda, but I'm pretty sure our propaganda is really bad. It's got to be really bad. The amount of brainwashing that is being done to our youth. I can just see it. I see it on Twitter or X. I see it everywhere. And people are so convinced of what this person said and that person said, but it's only because that's what they've heard repeatedly so many times that they're convinced that that's what they said, even though that's not what they said. And even now, if you say that Kamala Harris was the border czar, you hear people now say, no, she wasn't. I'm like, what? I'm like, did you forget that fast that she totally was the border czar? Like, literally, Joe Biden said it on national television that he was assigning her this very important task because he thought she was the best person for the job. Pretty sure that's what he said. But of course, nope, because they wiped that off her resume. Now she's not, and everyone's convinced that she never was. It's kind of strange. So I don't know. But I'm thankful that Laken Riley got justice. I just am very also torn about the justice because our taxpayer dollars are going to still pay for this person to be in our country and getting 3 meals a day and a place to live, a roof over his head. And it's probably, I don't know, he came from Venezuela, so it's still going to be better than where he came from. And he's not going to have to work. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Make it make sense. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Because I feel like I could be on my soapbox about this for a long time. So I just hope that people see. But I don't think people see. I think they're too close-minded and they don't see. They're too up in arms about things that don't matter. Like, again, killing babies. That's what I think. And Gwen is officially a member again. So I'm super happy. I have a member. I have Gwen back. So that's exciting. Kirsten! Guten Tag! We were just watching the Laken Riley. Riley Gaines has been posting a lot about Laken. Laken Riley's trial, the victim impact statements, and we saw Susan Smith's parole denial. But we were watching Laken Riley's victim impact statements. He was found guilty and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. It is something that I feel very conflicted about because he is an illegal immigrant. So I feel conflicted because that we paid for a trial for him, and he's illegal, but I did look up the Constitution and it says every person is entitled to legal counsel and a fast and speedy trial or a trial. Not every U.S. citizen. So it's kind of frustrating that he got a trial here in America and that he's also now going to continuously be fed by American taxpayer dollars and have a roof put over his head. Yes, thank goodness she was denied parole. The parole board cried. They were crying because the family was there like big time. So yeah, I think every country right now is really, really suffering with this illegal immigration situation. And most countries do they do actually vet their immigrants. America is one that does not. We just let them come on in. And we've let millions come in the last 4 years. It's not that we don't want immigrants, it's that we want them properly vetted and that we have a process. We have a legal process for people to go through, and we are not abiding by our own legal process. So I think if we would abide by our own legal process, then we would not have these bad people coming in. And I'm not saying every illegal immigrant that comes in is bad. That's not at all what we think, but that's what the Democrats think we think. But we're not saying that. But unfortunately, because we've let so many millions come in, we don't know the good from the bad apples. So unfortunately, we have to, I believe, and I just think this is what we're believing or what we're thinking, is everyone's got to go. They all got to go. The ones that have come in these last 4 years, they got to go. If you didn't come here legally or come here on a legit asylum seeking, then you got to go. This is not the place for you, because we have enough people in America that need help. We have homelessness, we have veterans, we have people who are struggling to get by, and we need to help Americans first. And I think that's the problem people are having is they think that, well, we'll just help everybody. Well, I don't see any of these Democrat leftist people opening their doors to help right, yeah, we're called Nazis. We're called Nazis right now. We are racist and Nazis, and it's insane that they would take things that far. We are called fascist, Nazis, racist, Hitler. They're comparing us to that, and I'm like, whoa, that's extreme. I'm like, that's really extreme. Do you even know what you're saying? Like, sometimes I just want to know, like, do you even know what you're saying? And in America, they're calling us, like, we're going to be slave owners again. Like, we're going to open camps up, that we're going to start making Black people picking cotton and putting them back in chains. I'm like, where are you getting this information? Like, what in the world what topsy-turvy world do you live in? That's not going to happen. I mean, oh my gosh. Like, that's not at all what's going to happen. What we're trying to do is help America first. We have too many people in America that are suffering, that cannot afford to buy. You know how much eggs are here right now? Like, eggs used to be less than $1 for a dozen eggs. They are now $7. $7 for a dozen eggs, when they used to be less than $1. Less than $1? Now they're $7? Is that, make that make sense? I mean, are chickens pooping golden eggs now? Right? I mean, and this is all because and they don't want to admit it, but this is all because we they thought, oh, we'll change sides, and look what happened. Look what happened. But now they're trying to start some kind of civil war, because of course they hate the right. I mean, they're calling us far right. They're really thinking that we're like Hitler. And I'm just like, that's insanity. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. I mean, I just don't get it. I just cannot put it together. Clearly they don't know their history. Clearly they don't understand, or they're caught in a world that they think that everything is about race. And I don't ever remember a time where race was always the issue, and everything was just about being Black. Everything had to be Black. That it totally is. Like, it really shuts you down. It really puts you, like, in a very bad headspace. I have been in a very bad headspace for quite some time, and I have just completely shut down. So, yeah. We're trying to avoid war, and Joe Biden is trying to put us in war before he exits office, because he wants to leave a war for Trump to deal with. That's what's happening here in America. He's putting us right back where, and then they're, of course, they're going to want to blame Trump for it, even though Biden's the one doing it. So it's legit nuts. I know, isn't it been forever since we've seen Jenny on here? So excited. Sorry, y'all. I'm like laid up in the bed today. I had a seizure the other day, so I'm not like fully back together yet. So, but I wanted to do the Laken Riley and Susan Smith thing today. So I haven't been able to watch the trial live for Laken, and I wanted to. But Jose Ibarra did get life with no parole, which again is, like I said, I'm torn about because we're gonna be paying for him for the rest of his life still, and it's just kind of frustrating that we're continuously paying for him. So, I mean, it's very, very frustrating. Yeah, South Korea and North Korea are going back. Probably, hopefully not. If Trump can just get in, like if January can't get here fast enough, hopefully all of this will stop because I'm just waiting for it to stop. I need it to stop because North Korea is threatening South Korea. South Korea is thinking of changing legislation to go up against North Korea. It's just insane. And then Russia, I mean, because Russia is planning to go nuclear on anyone because the US gave Ukraine long-range missiles. Like what the? Like this doesn't make any sense. First of all, Ukraine's not a part of NATO, so we don't have to help Ukraine. We have nothing to do with Ukraine. Like nada, zip, zilch. And Zelensky is just like, to me, he's like a snake oil salesman, you know? Like he's like he's just going country to country begging for money. Jenny, if you think you're in one of the safest countries, that's scary. That scares me now. Yeah, Ukraine offers us nothing, right, Kirsten? Like, yeah, Zelensky is a joke. He is a salesman. Like, he's a used car salesman to me. Like, he just goes around. He's just getting money left and right. Right? He's gotten billions from the U.S. Billions, and we have not gotten nothing in return. Nothing. Like, what are we getting out of Ukraine? Ukraine has nothing to offer us. Like, absolutely nothing. We're losing money hand over fist to Ukraine. And for what? We have people in America that are dying on the streets. Fentanyl is going crazy. We have homelessness, veterans. Yeah. Oh, at the moment. She means at the moment, Kirsten, which is scary because Jenny lives in South Africa. So she thinks she's in one of the safest places right now. That's scary. Yeah. I mean, he's just going around country to country, just like begging for money with that same green stupid shirt, that same green shirt. Like, does he own another shirt? Because he's trying to look like he's fighting, but he's not fighting. Like, what is he doing? He's just literally going around begging for money. And like military equipment. Like he's not. Oh, it's frustrating. And to me, it's just like Russia could have taken Ukraine at this point. I don't know why Russia is holding back. Like they could have done this already. They've been at war for how long? It doesn't make sense to me. It really does not make sense. He is. Like he was a really bad comedian. I mean, we may as well. South Africa is beautiful, right? We should just go there. What's your immigration policy, Jenny? Can we just come there? Like people can come to America? Because you can just come to America. Everyone can. I don't know, only until January. Then you're going to be shipped back out. The buck stops on January 20th. And then you can't do it anymore. America's not going to be a free-for-all. Shoot, that's why it's safe, because it's cold as heck. Nobody wants to go there. Oh, well, there you go. Well, we have a huge wall that gets climbed over and walked through. So that was pointless. That made no sense. They found ways to get past the wall. Kamala Harris finally went to the border during her campaign. The first time. First time she went to the wall was when she was campaigning, or to the border. Not while she was border czar, but while she was campaigning, she went to the border. Cracks me up. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's something that needs to change in America. The whole so I'm automatically a citizen because my dad was in the military. And even though I was born, but I was born in America. My dad was a citizen. My dad was American. So that made me a citizen. But but my mom was Korean, so she was married to my dad. I don't know if that made her an automatic citizen or what. She was married to a soldier. So I don't really know how that works, but I was automatically a citizen because of course my dad was an American citizen, but I think it's a little different if one parent is a citizen, but not for if you're not a citizen at all. But see, that's why they have babies here so quickly. Because well, see, I think it's a little different in the military. In the military, they become automatic because they're married. I don't really know how it works now I'm thinking about it. But that's why they come here and they have babies so fast, because they have a baby, they're automatically like living off the baby because they get Medicaid, they get food stamps, they get WIC, they get all the programs that the US has to offer. And that's why they're talking about getting rid of WIC and getting rid of Medicaid and getting rid of food stamps, because so many people are living off of those programs that it shouldn't be, which I'm totally fine with, because they shouldn't have those handouts. A help out is fine. Oh yeah, everything's changing all over the world. And Britain is weird. That's an odd country. That's why everyone came to America and left Britain, because they're such an odd country. And aren't they still over South Africa? Don't they like have some type of I don't want to call it ownership, but something over, because don't they run Ireland and Australia and something? They do. It's weird how uh, the Brits do. See, it's so strange. But the problem is the illegal people get it here before we do. Oh my gosh, I know, right? The Brits are good at humor. And they're really good at, I mean, they're really good actors. Yeah, but that's our problem is that the illegal people get this stuff before we do. Like I can't get insurance like they get. They get their medical bills and stuff covered. I don't get that. My mom's a veteran and she doesn't get care like they get. It's not cool. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just know when they were part of all of that, it was really weird. I remember some countries wanting to break away from Britain. They didn't want to be a part of that anymore. They wanted to be their own countries. Yeah, but you know what, Kirsten? Like I grew up in Germany and I used to love German food when I was a kid. I just remembered it being like my favorite. And then I went to this place here in Texas. It's called Fredericksburg, and it's nothing but Germantown. And they have German food, like authentic German food. And I took my boyfriend, uh, and I was so excited to take him to have schnitzel and potato salad and kraut and all this stuff. And then we go, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it was not like how I remembered it as a kid. It had no flavor, and he was not happy. He was like, "This is not good." I was like, "Oh, this is not what I remembered it to be like." Yeah, I think Australia is still under the Commonwealth, if I remember. I think Jamaica got away from them. I'm trying to remember who all no longer is part of them. Yeah, I just remember when we went to Fredericksburg, I was so excited for him to try German food, and he was like, "What the heck?" But it may not be as authentic as they said it was. Oh, are they? Okay. I was trying to remember who got away from them. It just seems weird that the Commonwealth is over different countries. It's confusing. But it's kind of like, we're over Puerto Rico. Yeah. Well, that's the same with like if I went to, if I get to go to South Korea, I'll probably taste the food there and it'll taste totally different than it does here. So, and I might actually like some real South Korean food that I would never try here, probably in a million years. So, because I'm a very picky eater, and I wasn't raised on my own cuisine, so we would have to see how that goes. It would be funny though. Probably I'd have to be blindfolded, and you couldn't tell me what I was eating. I definitely have to be blindfolded. Yes, I'd have to be blindfolded to eat half the stuff that South Koreans eat. That would be a funny experiment. Oh my goodness. Okay, y'all, I will see what cases might be going on. I leave for out of town on Sunday, and it is Thanksgiving. I do not know. What is that? I'll have to look that up. That's braten. That is meat. I like the potatoes. I don't eat brat anymore because I know it's sausage. Because I don't eat pork. Okay, so this weekend I fly out for Florida. Ooh, dumplings. I like dumplings. And we'll be in Florida for all of next week for Thanksgiving. And we're getting married next weekend, so I will have to show y'all pictures. And oh, and then, oh gosh. So I won't be on for, I'll try to do a video while I'm in Florida, depending on what cases they're going on. I'll try to do a video. And then I won't be able to do video. I mean, I could do a video, but I don't think you guys want to see me that way. But I'll be in the hospital for the first week of December for my epilepsy. So I'll have all these wires and stuff attached to my head, even though they said that I could bring my computer and all this stuff. But we'll see if I want to be like, I don't know. I want to be hooked up to machines and stuff. So I don't think I'm going to want to do that in the hospital. So I'll be back in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So yeah, there's that. But I also have to do a recap of Daniel Penny. So I'll do that video, and that might be the only video that I have on here for the next couple of weeks. We'll just have to see what I get to squeeze in before December. I know, so much going on. I literally go out of town, get married, come back for a day, and then go straight into the hospital. I know, it's wild. So, so much going on. But hopefully everyone will have a happy Thanksgiving. And I will miss everyone. But yeah, I know. How long? What do I need to use to get that out of my hair? Because I heard it's like really hard to get out. Ow. I think I got to use like some olive oil or something. I don't know. But I'll get it out. So, and then I'll be back. Hopefully back to normal scheduling because I've been working a lot, and I've had several of my old folks have been not doing well. So they've been, I I've had a bunch of my old folks that have been in rehab, and some have not been doing great. So that's been kind of on me. I've been stressing out about that as well. So, yeah, that has not been fun. So pray for my old people. Pray for this family trip for Thanksgiving. And I pray for y'all, of course. And I will see y'all as soon as I possibly can. I'll keep y'all updated, and let me know. Lots of washing. Lots of washing. Yeah. I will do that. But I will be thinking of y'all, and I will keep you posted, and hopefully I'll be able to do a video in between all of this shenanigans that I have going on. But sorry I wasn't on my big computer, but again, I've just been resting. So, but I'm glad I got to see y'all. Yes, I'm excited. Thank you, Jenny Peach. It's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, I've missed you so much. Ask Kirsten. I ask about you all the time. I'm like, where's my Jenny Peach? So I'm glad you came on today, and I'm glad I did a live so I could see you. So, but I will see y'all soon. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with your families. Hope it's not like in America where people are shutting their families off. But I will see y'all soon. Love y'all.